Game number 3 is gonna be pretty awesome if game 1 and 2 had anything to say about it. Gonna be going down on Frost and spawning in the lower right, representing ATN. It is Monty. And his opponent up in the top right, it is the blue Terran, MorroW. So, game 1, we saw a mech build out of MorroW. Game 2, a bio build. Both games have been quite long, quite back and forth. And in game 1, MorroW was able to take it at the end. Game number 2, though, MorroW was so much more aggressive. And it didn't really work out for him, because he didn't manage to get the third base up anywhere near as early as Monty did, nor was he able to actually get out a great composition. And so at the end, when he just went for the doom drop into the main, Monty base traded and won easy peasy. But before that point, things were surprisingly equal and still back and forth. So, gonna be interested to see whether in game number 3, MorroW goes back to that mech style that he did in game 1, or if he tries the bio composition that he did in game number 2. Frost is a big map. Probe coming in early gives a bit of a hint to where your opponent is. Just from the angle that it comes in at, you can sometimes work it out if you're super pro. And it looks like MorroW, of course, is super pro. Keeping a good little look on what's coming out actually from MorroW. He's getting that Reaper, which he has done every game so far. Whereas over on Monty's side, he's just taking things nice and steady. Cybercore on its way, 1 gas, nothing crazy. And I really like nothing crazy coming down. It's game 3 of a best of 3 after all. You don't want to be doing something that is uber crazy. You want to be doing something that is safe, steady, but also gives you advantages in a tactical way. And that's actually something that is surprisingly hard to do. At really high levels of play, which I'd argue these two are at high levels of play, you have to take risks somewhere. You've got to give yourself some vulnerability, and by doing that you get an advantage. But if your opponent realizes, they can exploit it and start getting some really big damage down. So we've got scouts coming down for both players at the moment. They both know really what the other is doing. Sure, there hasn't been a scout of the command center, but in reality, a Protoss player is going to see that Reaper and go, there's an expansion coming down. It's a Reaper expand. Immediately, we know that MorroW, he's switching things up. He's going to be going for the same build, or actually not the same build he's done in game 1 or 2, but it is going to be bio. Both game 1 and 2 he started with a mine drop though. That's not happening this time with the 2 additional barracks instead of a factory. So this is a variation already. And I'm really loving the fact that actually MorroW has gone 3 games with 3 different builds. It keeps your opponent on their toes. Monty has opened pretty similar every game. This game, going for that robotics facility though. Sure, last game he did go for the Stargate opening, to be fair. But this is going to be very exciting. I'm not quite sure how it's going to pan out, because there's still a lot of variables. It depends what comes out of this robo. Probably going to be just the observer to start off with, which is the same as game number 1. However, this Reaper gets a great little scout down, sees everything that's there, apart from the Twilight Council that's just been placed. Monty reverting back to build number 1, game 1, where most likely he's going to add in the Dark Shrine and go for the Dark Templar. Will MorroW be able to work out that's what's coming though? For the moment, MorroW just pressuring out with a couple of Marines and a Marauder or 2. These Stalkers do need to be slightly cautious not to get caught out of position, because if they do, that's a problem. But most of this is just to force a Photon overcharge. Waste this mothership core's energy. MorroW does have to be very careful about moving too far forward, but gets a Stalker, which is always nice. He doesn't want to get trapped when that Photon overcharge triggers. Goes for it. He's going to try and get a couple of probe kills, racking up a fair few actually. But is it worth sacrificing this many Marines and that Marauder? 5 workers for the majority of this force. In resources, it wasn't a good trade. But you've got to remember, workers, obviously you're picking off some future income that player could have had. The Immortal now on the field. We've got a lot more Marines rallied across. The Observer placement from Monty, able to see everything that's coming through. His Dark Shrine on its way, and I'm not actually sure if MorroW saw that. No, he didn't, nor was the Twilight Council spotted. So these DTs could still become as a surprise. The Engineering Bay finished though, and due to Game 1 being DTs, perhaps we're going to see MorroW just throw down that missile turret anyway to be safe. An Immortal getting caught out of position here. This is a big problem. Stim is done. That Immortal is going down. Big pick off there from MorroW straight away. And he's going to be really happy with that. Getting that Immortal out means that his Marauders are going to be so much more effective in the mid-game. The count is going to be a lot lower. And Monty really demonstrating to us how you can put yourself at quite a big risk if you go for any advantage. So those DTs are there predominantly for the early game advantage. They've got to get some good damage down. But his standing army, if MorroW decides to push, is lacking quite a lot. War Prism backs out. 3 workers killed. And that's not really enough. Monty is going to want to achieve a lot more. Missile turrets coming down though. 1 in the natural base. None in the main yet. So if the DTs, thanks to this War Prism, are able to sneak on up there, there isn't detection aside from scans. An Observer coming over discovers the 3rd base attempt. So this is something which could go down, especially since there is a 3rd Dark Templar with the army. Double drop discovers the War Prism. This could go down as the Marines are dropped. Snipes it off. Good pick off. A lot of damage done there, and also alleviates the risk of further pressure. The Dark Templar though, heading over towards that 3rd base in construction. The shimmering of the Observer may be noted by MorroW, and a scan could pick it off, but likely just wanting to save the scans in case that Dark Templar decides to engage. Back at Monty's base though, this DT play has bought him enough time to get the Colossus out. He's got 1 already, a 2nd one nearly about to pop, and so with Chrono Boosts, should have extended thermal lance and 3 Colossi by the time this push hits, if it comes across. And to be honest, that push hitting isn't going to be terrifying, because with 3 Colossi and no Vikings to contend them, MorroW should be forced to pull back. If we take a look at production-wise, MorroW adding in the +1 ground armor, also getting in a 2nd engineering bay in order to start the +1 infantry the +2 infantry attack. He's already got +1 infantry attack. So he's going to be going up to the 2-1 upgrades thanks to this armory. Meanwhile, over on Monty's side, he's getting a nice little pickup here with some medevacs flying across. The full one goes down first. The 2nd one, trying to sneak through, nearly managed to make him a photon cannon. Says no. That's quite a lot, but MorroW ready to push in as Monty goes for an attack. We could be seeing another base race in Game 3, but a lot earlier. There's a decent number of cannons here. The Mothership Core with the army. Mass recall is always going to be the important thing. This base trade will favour MorroW. He's at 3 bases, Monty's at 2. The push though coming through, there's the Colossi, they deal out a lot of damage. There's the Immortal. This is going to be really close. And remember, one of these players will be eliminated from the WCS qualifier with the result of this one game. They're tied 1-1, so it all comes down to this. MorroW dealing tons of damage. There's nothing here. And if Monty wants to try and recall, he's got to do it before the Nexus falls. But I don't think that's what he's aiming for. He's pushing through. He's going to be trying to win this game. MorroW should just lift and run away with his buildings, because there's no way that this can be taken out. The infantry backed into a corner. The SCV's fighting. The 2 Colossi really are the threat. But if all the gateway units are gone, there's not much left. The Vikings engaging him. MorroW, he is in an astoundingly good position. He's probably won this game. All of the production now for Monty, gone. Both of his Nexi dead, and he does not have enough money to produce another. The army of Monty is really all that he has remaining. MorroW trying to build more. There's no Colossi left. There's a ton of probes trying to fight, and you can't blame Monty for doing this. He's doing everything that he can to try and somehow win this game, but MorroW, he knows all he must do is take out more of this. Monty running around everywhere, but even if he picks all this off, the third base is still there. MorroW trying to clear most of this out, but a retreat from MorroW to pick off this remaining army probably would be his best bet. He's got a decent amount of income. I'm just trying to take a look at this army composition. The Archon and the Immortal really are the big damage dealers. But still, MorroW overall army supplies one above that of Monty. It's gonna be quite tense. This is not an all-out win for MorroW, but he's in a very good position. The trouble is he's lost that orbital command. The third orbital command, the last... Oh no, he's still got one. He's rebuilding one. Okay, MorroW should just win now. He should. Because with that base, he's got enough time to produce more. He's still got some production facilities. He's adding in a tech lab onto this starport. Because has he realised there's no observer? No, there is still an observer on the map, but it's miles away. The double medevac boosting back, ready to come and engage this force. Because it's been split up. This may be a big mistake from Monty. Pylons being discovered, of course. MorroW gets full vision of where there are pylons because Monty has not got any main building. He's got no nexus. So if you don't have a nexus or a command center or a hatchery on the map at all, you know that where all the remaining building positions are. An assimilator frantically trying to get made, but the medevac going to be boosting over to that. Pretty much the last thing remaining. A command center being rebuilt, and this is definitely MorroW's game now. I think it's verging on impossible for Monty to win it, because this assimilator going to die. Unless the probes quickly build something else, it could all be over. I'm trying to keep a really quick look, but it is just this one assimilator at the moment. Nothing else in particular. Ah, another assimilator. Okay. Monty just keeping him jumping around. Where's MorroW going to go? He's sending a couple of units over there. Going to be checking to see if there's any other probes, but also moving back to defend his base. More production needs to come out. The bunkers coming out are very important. The probe's still going through. Monty doing everything that he can to try and win this game. If he loses this game, he's out of this first WCS qualifier. So he's really wanting to. Oh, that medevac does not want to go down, backs away, but gets taken out still anyway. That is a big problem. MorroW really wanted to keep that up. That extra healing could have been vital. Probes coming through. The bunkers are in position. Get in the bunkers. They're only going to help you. Probes still getting taken out. The Archon and Immortal at the back. One bunker goes down. Two more standing. MorroW well up in army supply now. If he takes out that Archon, it will be a good game, good luck. And MorroW takes this series 2-1 in a nail-biting finish to advance on into the round of 32.